and years to learn to progress, adding to science, botany, and their legal groups. That which distinguishes them is their striking resemblance, which distinguishes them is their striking resemblance, which makes it distinguish them and years to learn to progress, years and years to learn
Just a moment, I'm coming! I'm coming! Good morning, miss.
Good morning, ma'am. Is the professor home?
Have you come for the lesson?
Yes, I have.
Wait a moment, I'll tell him you're here.
Thank you.
Good morning, miss. You, I expect, are the new pupil.
Yes, Professor. Good morning, Professor. As you see, I'm on time. I didn't want to be late.
Thank you very much, miss. You really didn't need to hurry up. I was just finishing up. You will excuse me, won't you?
Certainly, Professor. It doesn't matter at all, Professor.
You didn't have any trouble finding the house?
No, not at all. I've just asked the way. Everybody knows you're around here.
Yes. I've lived here quite a long time. But you're new to the area. How do you find it?
It's all right. The town is attractive and even agreeable. There's a nice park at Bishop, nice streets.
You're quite right, miss. But I'd sooner live elsewhere. Paris or Bordeaux, perhaps.
Do you like Bordeaux?
I don't know. I've never seen it.
But you know Paris?
I've never seen it either. But permit me, if you will, Paris is the capital city of...
Paris is the capital city of... France?
Well done, miss! Congratulations! You have your French geography at your fingertips. You know your chief cities.
I don't know them all yet, Professor. It's not quite that easy.
It will come. One must have patience. Little by little, it will come. These things merely take time. What a nice day it is today. Or rather, not so nice. But then, yes, it is nice. In short, it's not too bad a day. It's not raining, and it's not snowing either.
That would be most unusual for in summer now.
Oh, excuse me, miss. I was just going to say so. But as you will learn, one must be ready for anything.
I guess so, Professor.
One cannot be sure of anything in this world, young lady.
The snow falls in winter. Winter is one of the 4 seasons. The other 3 are... spring, and then summer, and
It begins like automobile.
yes, autumn.
Well done, miss. Well done. It is clear to me that you'll make a good pupil, miss. You seem to be well informed, you're intelligent, and you've a good memory.
I know my seasons, don't I, Professor?
You do indeed, miss. Or almost. But they will come. Soon you will know all your seasons, miss, with your eyes closed as I do.
It's hard.
Oh, no, miss, no. All it takes is a little effort, a little goodwill, miss. You will see it will come. You may be sure of that.
Oh, I do hope so, Professor. My parents want me to get an education. They want me to specialize. They consider a little general culture Even if it's solid, it's no longer enough in these times.
Your parents are quite right. You must continue with your education. Pardon me for saying so, but it is most necessary. Our contemporary life has become most complex.
And so very complicated too. My parents are fairly rich. I'm lucky. They can help me in my work, help me in my regular studies.
And you wish to qualify for?
Just as soon as possible for the first doctor's honors. They're in 3 weeks' time.
You have your high school diploma, if you'll pardon the question.
Yes, Professor. I have my science diploma and my arts diploma too.
You're very advanced. Perhaps even too advanced for your age. And which doctorate do you wish to qualify for, miss? The one in the physical sciences or in moral philosophy, miss?
My parents are very much hoping, if you think it will be possible in such a short time,
Yes.
they very much hope that I could qualify for the total doctorate.
Total doctorate, miss. I congratulate you warmly, miss. We shall do our best. And in any case, you already know quite a bit. And at such a young age.
Professor.
I do think we ought to get to work, miss. We have scarcely any time to lose.
Certainly, Professor. I want to. I beg you to.
Would you like to sit down, miss? Here. If you have no objections, may I sit down opposite you?
Oh, certainly, Professor. Please do.
Good. Now, have you brought your books and notebooks?
Yes, indeed, Professor. I brought all that for me.
Good, miss. Good. Now, if it's not too tiresome for you, miss, shall we begin?
Yes, Professor. I am at your disposal.
My disposal? Oh, no, miss. Oh, no. It is I, miss, who am at your disposal. I am but your humble servant. Good. Now, we shall begin. Or I shall begin. I shall begin. No, it's we shall begin. I shall begin by making a brief examination of your knowledge past and present so as to better chart our future courses. How is your perception of plurality?
It's rather vague, confused.
Good, miss. Would you like to do a little arithmetic, miss? That is, if you want to.
Oh, certainly, Professor. I ask of nothing better.
Yes. It is rather a new science. A modern science, properly speaking. It is more a method than a science. It is a therapy, miss. Marie, have you finished?
Yes, Professor.
Arithmetic, miss.
Excuse me, Professor, but I urge you to remain calm.
You're overreacting, Marie. Now, don't worry. Arithmetic...
Professor, you will do better not to start the young lady on arithmetic. Arithmetic is tiring, exhausting.
Not at my age, Marie. And in any case, what business is it of yours? This is my department. This is not your concern.
All right, Professor. You can't say I didn't warn you.
I can do without your advice, Marie.
As you wish, Professor.
Excuse this interruption, miss. Excuse this woman. She fusses over my head.
It's all right, Professor. It shows that she's very devoted. She loves you very much. A good servant, Harry.
Her fears are stupid, miss. She exaggerates. Now, shall we return to our arithmetical knitting?
I'm following you, Professor.
Without leaving your seat.
Like you, Professor.
Good. Let us arithmetize a little now. If it's not too tiresome for you to tell
No,
me.
not at all, Professor. Please go on.
How many are 1 and 1?
1 and 1 make 2.
Well done. Well done. It is clear to me that you are far along in your studies, miss. You should easily achieve a total doctorate.
I'm so glad, Professor. Especially to have someone like you tell me this.
Let us push on. How many are 2 and 1?
3.
3 and 1?
4.
4 and 1.
5.
5 and 1.
6.
6 and 1.
7.
7 and 1.
8.
7 and 1?
8 again.
Well answered, miss. 7 and 1.
8 once more.
Perfect. Excellent, miss. 7 and 1.
8 again. And sometimes 9.
Magnificent. You are magnificent, miss. At addition, you are a past master. There's scarcely any point in going on. Let us push on, miss, to subtraction. Now, if you're not too bored, miss, tell me how many are 4 minus 3?
4 minus 3.
Yeah.
4 minus 3.
That is to mean subtract 3 from 4, miss.
That makes 7.
Oh no, miss. I'm obliged to contradict you. 4 minus 3 does not make 7. You are confused. 4 plus 3 makes 7, but 4 minus 3 does not make 7. This is not addition anymore. We must subtract now.
Yes.
Yes? Now how many are 4 minus 3? How many? How many?
4?
No, that's not it.
3 then.
That's not it either. Pardon me, I mean to say, no, that's not it. Excuse me, miss.
4 minus 3.
4 minus 3?
4 minus 3.
4 minus 3.
Minus 3. But now, doesn't that make 10?
Oh, surely not. It's not a matter of guessing. One's got to think it out. Would you like to deduce it together?
Yes, Professor.
How far can you count up to?
I can count to infinity.
That is not possible.
Well, then let's say to 16.
That is enough. One must know one's limits, miss. Count if you will, then.
1, and after 1, 2, and after 2 comes 3, then 4.
Stop there, miss. Now, which number is larger, 3 or 4?
3 or 4. Which is the larger of 3 or 4?
Yeah.
In what sense larger?
Well, some numbers are larger and others are smaller. In the larger numbers, miss, there are more units than in the smaller.
Small numbers.
Unless the smaller numbers have even smaller units, in which case, miss, there may be more units in the smaller than in the larger. You see, if it is a question of units.
Professor, in that case, the smaller numbers can be larger than the large numbers?
Let us not get into that. That would take us too far, much too far. What you must realize simply is that more than numbers are involved here. They are groups, miss. Oh, miss, they are totals. They are magnitudes, miss. Heaps of such things as trucks, plums, geese, prune pits, miss. To facilitate our work, let us merely suppose we have only equal numbers. Yes. And each has always the same amount of units. Now, we have the number 3 and the number 4. Now, which number is larger, miss? The smaller or the larger?
Excuse me, Professor. What do you mean by the larger number? Is it the one that is not so small as the other?
Yes, miss!
Then it's 4.
What is 4? Smaller or larger?
No, larger.
Well done, miss. Well done. Now, how many units are there between 3 and 4? Or between 4 and 3, if you prefer?
There are no units, Professor, between 3 and 4. 4 comes immediately after 3. There's nothing at all between 3 and 4. There's nothing at all between 3 and 4.
Look here, miss. Let us do this, miss. Here are matches. This is 1 match, 2 matches, 3 matches, 4 matches. Now, I take away 1 of the matches, and there remain how many?
5. Yes, if 3 and 1 make 4, 4 and 1 make 5.
That's not it. That's not it at all. You have a tendency to add. It is not enough to integrate. One must be able to disintegrate. That's the way life is. That's science, progress, civilization.
Yes, Professor.
Let us return to our matches. Now, 4. These are 4 matches. Now you see, there really are 4. Yeah? Now, I take 1 match away, and there remain how many, miss?
I don't know, Professor.
Come now, miss. It's not easy, I admit, but you've had enough training to be able to make the intellectual effort required to arrive at an understanding, so...
I can't get it, Professor. I don't know, Professor.
Let us try a simpler example, miss.
Yes, Professor.
Let us assume you have 2 noses. Good. Now, I take away 1 of your noses, and you'd have how many?
None.
What do you mean, none?
Yes, it's because you haven't pulled it off. If you had pulled it off, I wouldn't have it anymore.
Suppose you have... Miss, you have 1 ear.
Yes, and then?
I give you another ear, and you'd have how many ears?
2.
Good, miss. Now, I give you yet another ear, and you'd have...
3 ears.
Well done, miss. Now, I take away 1 of your ears, and you'd have...
2.
Good, miss. Well done. Now, I take away still another ear, and you'd have...
2.
No. You have 2. I take 1 of your ears away and eat 1 of them up. You have how many?
2.
No, 1. 1, miss.
2.
The example is not convincing. Suppose you have
10 fingers?
if you like. Yes, miss, yes. You have 10 fingers there. How many would you have if you only had 5, miss?
10, Professor.
No, that's not.
But it is, Professor.
No, I tell you it is not.
You just told me that I've got 10 fingers.
I then said immediately afterwards that you only have 5.
But I haven't got 5, I've got 10.
Look here, miss. I'm going to make you understand. Yes? For purposes of our example, let us merely limit ourselves to the numbers 1 to 5. Yes? These are sticks, miss.
A unit, miss, what have I just said?
Or a number, or a figure. Yes. 1 stick, 2 sticks, 3 sticks, 4 sticks, 5 sticks. These are the numbers, units of arithmetic, miss.
Yes, Professor. The element figures which are...
Yes, in short, miss, the whole of arithmetic is here.
Yes, Professor. Good, Professor. Thanks, Professor.
Good. Using these numbers, sticks, units, elements, miss, add and subtract.
Sticks are really figures and numbers are units.
Yes.
One can subtract 2 units from 3 units. But can one subtract 2 twos from 3 threes and 2 figures from 4 numbers and 3 numbers from 1 unit?
No, miss, no.
Why, Professor?
But because, miss.
Because why, Professor, since one is the same as the other?
That's the way it is, miss. It can only be comprehended through internal mathematical reasoning, miss. Either you have it or you don't.
So much the worse for me.
Yes. If you don't achieve a profound understanding of these mathematical elements, these arithmetical archetypes, miss, you'll never be able to function correctly the functions of a polytechnician, nor will you be able to teach at a polytechnical school, miss. Yes?
Professor, what about multiplication?
Yes. Without these basic... How much, for example, are 3,775,983,407 multiplied by 5,183,776,716? I mean, you see, miss, without these principles, these basic arithmetical principles, one is incapable of deducing.
Professor, that makes 19 quintillion, 390 quadrillion, 2,844,000,000,000, 219,164,508.
That is wrong. That is wrong. It is to be 509. You see, the use of these...
508.
That is right. But how do you know that? If you don't know these... If you don't know the basics, miss.
It's easy. Not being able to rely on my mathematical reasoning, I've memorized all the products of all possible multiplications.
That is very good. Very good. But permit me to confess, I am not satisfied, and I do not congratulate you, miss. Mathematics is the sworn enemy of the memory, which is excellent otherwise, but disastrous arithmetically speaking. That is why, miss, I am not satisfied.
Professor.
I hear that you will not be able to qualify for the total doctor's honors.
Professor.
We must therefore teach you,
Professor.
at least, prepare you for the partial doctor.
Professor. Professor.
For which I must therefore teach you, miss, the elements of linguistics and comparative philology.
Professor, no, Professor, no. You mustn't do that.
Marie, you are going too far.
Professor, especially not philology. Philology leads to calamity.
It's a calamity. That's hard to believe.
That is enough.
All right, Professor, all right. But you can't say I didn't warn you. Philology leads to calamity.
I am an adult, Marie.
Yes, Professor.
Yes. Yes. I want you to listen now with the greatest possible attention to a lecture I have prepared, you will have acquired the fundamental principles of the linguistic and comparative philology of the Neo-Spanish language.
Oh, good, Professor.
Quiet, miss. What is the meaning of that?
I'm sorry.
Quiet! And now, miss, Spanish truly is the mother tongue which gave birth to all the Neo-Spanish languages, of which Spanish, Latin, Italian, French, Portuguese, Romanian, Sardinian, Sardinopalian, Spanish, and Neo-Spanish, and also in certain of its aspects, Turkish, which is otherwise very closely related to Greek, which is only logical, since Turkey and Greece are neighbors, and Greece is even closer to Turkey than you are to me. This is only one more illustration of the very important linguistic law which states that geography and philology are twin sisters. You may take notes, Miss. That which distinguishes the Neo-Spanish languages from each other and their idioms from the other linguistic groups, such as the group of languages called Austrian and Neo-Austrian or Habsburgian, as well as the Esperanto, Helvetian, Monachian, Swiss, Andorian, Basque, and Jayali, as well as the group of technical and diplomatic languages, miss. That which distinguishes them is their striking resemblance, which renders them very difficult to distinguish from each other. We are able to distinguish them, these languages, from each other, only thanks to their distinctive characteristics, absolutely indisputable proof of their extraordinary resemblance, which renders indisputable their common origin, and which at the same time differentiate them profoundly from each other through the continuation of the characteristics which I have just cited.
Yes, Professor.
But let us not linger over generalities. This seems to interest you. All the better, miss. All the better.
Yes, Professor. Spanish, yes.
Oh, don't worry. We will come back to it. That is, if we come back to it at all. Who can say? Now, every tongue is at bottom nothing but language. And is crucial for pronunciation. This you must know and remember till the hour of your death.
Yes, Professor.
That is it, miss, but do not interrupt. For example, like this, miss. Come. Come, miss. Butterfly.
Butterfly.
Trafalgar.
Trafalgar.
Eureka.
Eureka.
Papaya.
Papaya.
Miss, the words, miss, the sounds become filled with a warm air, one that is lighter than the surrounding air, so as to not allow the words to fall on deaf ears. That is it, miss, but do not interrupt. I draw your attention now. What is the matter?
I have a toothache.
Let us continue, miss. We won't stop for anything so trivial, yes? Let us continue. Now, I draw your attention in passing to the consonants which change their nature in combinations. For example, miss, F becomes V, D becomes T, G becomes K, and vice versa, miss. As in these examples in sentence, miss. That's all right. Hens and chickens, Welsh rarebit, lots of nothing, not at all. Miss, it takes years And let us continue, miss, years and years to learn to pronounce. But thanks to science, we can do so in minutes, yes? You see, in order to project words and sounds and the rest, you must realize that it is necessary to pitilessly expel air from the lungs, miss, and make it pass delicately, caressingly over the vocal cords, which, like harps or leaves in the wind, will suddenly shake, vibrate, uvulate, jostle against each other, miss, placing everything in movement. The uvula, the tongue, the palate, the teeth, and the lips, miss. Finally, the words come out through the nose, miss, the mouth, the ears, the paws, miss, drawing along with them all of the organs which I've just named, in a majestic flight, miss, which is known improperly as the voice. You see, miss, whether modulated in singing or transformed into a symphonic storm of garlands of flowers, miss, of sonorous artifices, labials, dentals, occlusives, miss, palatals, some bitter, some caressing, or violent.
Professor, I've got a toothache.
Well, let's continue. Now, as for the Neo-Spanish language, I have Neo-Spanish. Here, yes. As for the Neo-Spanish languages, you see, they are very closely related, so closely related that they can be considered true second cousins. Moreover, they share the same mother, Spanish, with the mute E. That is why, miss, it is necessary to pronounce correctly. Errors in pronunciation can cause great distress, miss. Just the pronunciation itself is an entire language. Now, in this connection, miss, permit me to share with you parenthetically a personal experience, you see. When I was young, a little more than a child in the military service, I had a friend, a vicomte, who had trouble pronouncing the letter. Instead of he would say, and thus birds of a feather flock together, became birds of a feather flock together, firmin instead of firmin, farrago instead of farrago, fee-fi-fo-fum instead of fee-fi-fo-fum, go frig yourself instead of go frig yourself, victory instead of victory, February instead of February. Oh, Philippe. Instead of Philippe, miss. March, April instead of March, April. Gerard du Naval instead of Gerard du Naval. Mirabeau, miss, instead of, as is correct, Mirabeau. Etc., etc., and thus, instead of, etc., etc., and thus. Oh, miss, however, due to the hats that he wore, no one ever noticed. Let's continue. I said let's continue. Take now the word front. Have you taken it? The word front is the root of frontispiece. It is also to be found in the words affronted. A spice is the suffix F the prefix. They are so called because they do not change. They do not want to. Let's continue. You would have surely also noticed that these prefixes are in Neo-Spanish language. Did you notice that?
I've got a toothache. Yes, yes, yes.
Good. Now translate this. For example, this sentence, miss, into French, yes? The roses of my grandmother are as yellow as my grandfather, who was Asiatic. Oh, answer anyway, miss. Come.
French?
In French?
As you say in French, the roses of my grandmother are
as yellow as my grandfather, who was Asiatic.
oh, one was in French, I believe. The roses of my grandmother is, how do you say grandmother in French?
In French, grandmother.
The roses of my grandmother is yellow. In French, is it yellow?
Yes, miss, yes.
The roses of my grandmother is yellow as my grandfather who got angry.
No, who was
Asiatic. I've got a toothache.
And so what, miss? Let us continue. Translate the sentence now into Spanish and then into Neo-Spanish.
In New Spanish, this would be the roses of my grandmother is yellow as my grandfather who is Asiatic.
No.
And in New Spanish, this would be the roses of my grandmother as yellow as my grandfather who was Asiatic.
No, miss, no. You have confused them. You've inverted them, miss. You've confused Spanish for Neo-Spanish and Neo-Spanish for Spanish. It is the other way around.
I've got a toothache, Professor. You're getting mixed up.
Pay attention, miss. Take note, miss. You are the one that's mixing me up, miss. You see, in Spanish, the roses of my grandmother are as yellow as my grandfather who was Asiatic. In Neo-Spanish, miss, the roses of my grandmother are as yellow as my grandfather who was Asiatic. Did you detect the difference, miss? Translate this now into Romanian.
I've got a toothache, Professor. I really don't get the difference.
Oh, but it's so simple, miss. It's so simple. It's a matter of having a certain experience, miss. It's an intangible thing. It's something so intangible that it can only be understood through long periods of study. Yes, miss. One must have a feeling for it.
Toothache.
There are certain expressions in current usage in which words differ, miss, from one language to another. But we cannot base our knowledge on these cases, which are, so to speak, exceptional, miss. For example, in the Neo-Spanish phrase, miss, famous in Madrid, my country is the new Spain, would become in Italian,
New Spain.
no, Italy means, my country is the new Italy. Translate now Italy into French, miss.
I've got a toothache, Professor.
France, miss, well done. My country is the new France. Now translate France into Oriental. Orient, well done, miss. My country is the new Orient. And Oriental Portuguese?
No more, Professor, no more.
Portugal, miss, well done. My country. Ache, and so what, miss? I will pull them out, I will.
Just trying to scout down.
See, miss, the thing that I find most, what's the word? Paradoxical, yes! The thing I find most paradoxical is that a number of people, common people, speak these different languages. What have I just said?
Speak the different languages. What did I just say?
You were lucky that time. It is not I who am going to qualify for a partial doctor's oral. I qualified for a super total diploma doctorate a long time ago. Do you not realize, miss, that I am doing this for your own good?
Toothache!
Ill man. This won't do. It won't do. It won't do. It won't do.
I'm listening to you.
Good, miss, good. Now, there is no better way to learn to differentiate between between the different languages, then through practice, I'm going to give you, miss, the different translations of the word knife in the different languages, miss. Yeah?
Whatever you want,
Marie!
Professor.
Marie!
Professor.
Marie!
Hey.
Marie!
Hey, Professor.
Where are you? Marie! When I call you, you must come. She doesn't understand anything, that girl. She doesn't understand.
Don't get into such a state, sir. You know where it will end. You're going to go too far. You're going to go too far.
I'll be able to stop myself in time.
That's what you always say. I only wish I could see it. See it starting. That's the symptom.
What symptom? Explain yourself.
The final symptom. The chief symptom.
Stupid. No, don't go. I've brought you here to help me find the Romanian, Sardinian, Monacan, Helvetian, Swiss, Andorian, and French knives.
Don't ask me.
I've found one, miss. It's unfortunate we only have the one, but we shall make it work for all the languages. In any case, it'll be enough for you to look at the object while saying the words in the different languages, yes? Now, say nigh like nigh and foot like foot. Come now, miss. Knife. Knife. Knife, miss. Knife. Miss. Knife. Pronounce carefully now. Knife. 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 Look at the object, miss. Look at it. Knife. Knife, miss. Knife. Knife, miss. Look at the object. Knife. Pronounce carefully. Knife. Knife, miss. 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 Oh, that does me good. Oh. 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 What have I done? What's going to happen to me? Miss! The lesson is over! You may pay at another time! Marie! 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 No, don't come in. I don't need you anymore. I don't need you anymore, Marie.
Then you're satisfied with your pupil? She's profited by your lesson?
The lesson is over, but she's still here. She won't leave.
Is that a fact?
It wasn't I. It wasn't I.
Then who was it? Me?
I don't know.
Or the cat?
Perhaps. I don't know.
And today makes it the 40th time. Every day it's the same thing. You're going to make yourself sick. You won't have any pupils left that will serve you right.
It wasn't my fault, Marie. She was a bad pupil. She wouldn't learn. She was disobedient.
Liar! Disgusting little bastard. You wanted to do that to me. I'm not one of your pupils, not me. Now didn't I warn you, just a while ago, that arithmetic leads to philology, and philology leads to crime?
You said to calamity.
It's the same thing.
I didn't understand. I thought that calamity was a city and that philology leads to the city of calamity.
Liar, old fox. An intellectual like you is not going to make a mistake in the meaning of words. Don't try to pull the wool over my eyes.
I didn't mean to kill her.
Are you sorry at least?
Oh yes, Marie. Oh yes.
I can't help. I feel sorry for you. You're a good boy in spite of everything. Now, I'll try and fix this, but don't start it again. It could give you a heart attack.
Thank you, Marie. What are we going to do?
We're going to bury her, along with the 39 others. That will make 40 coffins. I'll call the undertaker and my lover, Father August. I'll order the wreaths.
Thank you, Marie. Thank you, Marie. But Marie, don't pay too much for the wreaths. She hasn't paid for her lesson.
Don't worry about that. Perhaps I won't have to call August after all, since you yourself are something of a priest at times, if one can believe the gossip.
There's a chance we could get caught, Marie. Suppose someone asks what's inside the coffin?
Don't worry too much. We'll say that they're empty. Besides, people are used to it. They won't ask
Or
questions.
even so, Marie. A procession of 40 coffins down the road. Someone...
Wait. If you are afraid, wear this. Now you won't have anything to be afraid of. That's good politics.
Thank you, Marie. With this now, I really don't need to worry. You are a good girl, Marie.
That's enough. It's time.
Spanish truly is the mother tongue, which gave birth to all the Neo-Spanish languages, of which Spanish, Italian, French,
Spanish is truly
Romanian,
the mother tongue, Italian, which
Swiss,
gave birth to all the
Monaco,
Neo-Spanish languages. Sardinian Spanish, Southern Pale, Latin Spanish, Italian, French, that which distinguishes the Neo-Spanish languages from Belgian other, as well as Spanish, Esperanto-Spanish, Helvetia, that which distinguishes the Neo-Spanish languages from each other, and that in resemblance which settles languages distinguishes the real story, that's Belgian, as well as the Esperanto year, Helvetia year, no matter learn to persist, and endorse science, but
Just a moment, I'm coming!
that which distinguishes them is their striking resemblance, which
Are you the new pupil?